All right, we are recording here at the Buzzer podcast. With me, as always, is my partner in crime, my running buddy, my good pal G, the bistro of basketball knowledge. How you doing tonight, G?
Doing good. It's a beautiful night here in sunny BC, and we're blessed to not have any early smokes and stuff like that. So here I am
We are
enjoying the
blessed.
NBA playoffs and doing better than some Minnesota fans right now. So I feel for all my Minnesota people. I got a couple of them out there, so
That, that's
it's gonna
that's
be.
good to acknowledge, and I'd like to express those sentiments as well. If you're a Timberwolves fan, I feel for you, but I'm not cutting back. I'm not holding back tonight, G. This is
Now, keep in mind that Alex Rodriguez is the new owner. He hasn't had a
yeah.
chance to do anything yet, but just in case he sees this one day, I just want you to make sure Alex Rodriguez has been mentioned.
Former Yankee and Mariner great. We got to put that out there.
Championship DNA, all cat.
And you know who doesn't have championship DNA? We're gonna start this off strong. Ant Man does not have championship DNA. You
No,
cannot disappear the way he did for the last two games and consider yourself a dominant player in the league. Um,
do you
I
consider
put him in
him
a category. I put him in a category with Reggie Miller. I'm about to
okay?
backtrack that very hard because at least Reggie, when he lost, he showed up in these games, and Ant has not done so at all.
You're not satisfied with 19-7-5 or whatever it was?
Empty calories, G.
Yeah, no, I know it.
Em- It's empty cal. There's 19-7-5 when you're down by 8, and there's 19-7-5 when you're down by 30. And sorry, you get no benefit of that doubt tonight, Ant. It's your team. It was your job to put them on your back, and you failed miserably.
Yeah. I think you hit the nail on the head yesterday when we were chatting about him needing a a big brother essentially on the team full time that's not Mike Conley, right? They need a champion that he
They need a
respects in
one.
that way. They need a one or a Drew Holiday, right? Somebody that's like able to calm things down, show you. Da, 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 da. Maybe he's a little old now, but somebody of that nature, of respected gold medalist, champion, good at what he does, stabilizer. But Ant needs something like that because it looks like just a bunch of kids that ate too much candy at summer camp and now all have belly aches. They're like, I don't want to do the last thing. And it's like, yeah, come on, guys, get it together. It's the last day of summer
Uh,
camp. You gotta go home after this. You gotta be looking respectable. Come on now.
and that's the thing. There's losing, and then there's quitting. And I think the Timberwolves quit tonight.
Yeah, man.
And
Like
now
it. Yeah,
that's where the embarrassment comes from.
yeah. So where are you putting them on the chart of disappointment and choke um, expectations to choke chart, if you want to call it that?
Not as high as you'd think, actually,
Okay.
because because I saw these holes in Minnesota early.
Mm.
But the thing is, they were masked when Minnesota got by the Lakers, and they were masked when they got by the Houston, or not the Houston Rockets. Sorry, the I can't even remember who they beat in the second round.
Golden State.
Huh? Oh, the Warriors.
Yeah,
Yeah, without a Steph Curry, I might add. So when you factor that
that's a good
in,
point. That's a good point.
should they have beaten Golden State, or are we looking at a mirage? Because I honestly, and I will stick by this, and you can tell me they beat us in five or whatever. You can do your whole Shannon Sharp bit, but I still believe in my heart of hearts that Laker team is better than this Timberwolves team, which is why I don't put the Timberwolves as far as choking goes. I'm
Mm.
more upset at the lack of effort when you got the opportunity.
Hmm. Self-respect goes a long way in close out games even when you're the loser. If you can show self-respect, which is not easy, man. That's the whole point, I guess, is I couldn't imagine how difficult that would be to have the poise and uh, but that's what you get paid for, and that's what you would expect at minimum. And it just seemed like Ant and most of the rest of the team kind of just were willing to play at a 7 out of 10 rather than something that was more like trying to survive, like at a full 10 the entire game, which most of OKC's team played like. So it's like, it's possible to play that hard, but they just didn't do it. So it's all the hats off to OKC, and
and
man,
and
they look
hat
so
tip
good.
to the Thunder.
They
Hat,
look so good, man. Oh, I know it's
hat tip
easy to
to the
run
Thunder.
downhill, but they made it look good running downhill. Not everybody looks good running downhill. They made it look good.
What's the thing I always say when the Lakers rattle off 7 out of 8 and then people talk about the competition? You can only play who you play, and the
Hmm.
results will speak for themselves.
Yeah,
So that has to apply to the Thunder as well. But
yeah, yeah,
this was absolutely an insane debacle of a game. I turned it off about halfway through the second quarter because I knew it was done. Now I did flip through and I saw it jump to 30 and I was like, I made the right call. And
yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
It had a stench to it.
I wish I had something positive to say about this Timberwolves team because
Yeah.
people will say, well, Ant's only 23. But I remember something you told me earlier in the season, G.
Mm.
Once is a learning experience. As a matter of fact, we were talking about Alfred Sengun, and you said once is an
Mm.
experience and twice is a pattern.
Oof.
And this is the second year in a row that Ant has gotten to the conference finals, despite being 23 years old. He's
Mm.
got experience, so you can't take that from him.
Hmm.
But he doesn't show up.
Notice how we're talking about him compared to Joker. Joker lost. He lost in the round before, but nobody's talking about him like, huh, Joker just didn't show up. No, nobody's saying that, right? That's a
There
huge
are levels to this.
difference. Yeah, man, to
There are
be
levels
just,
to this.
and it's
And
exactly what you said,
remember,
showing up. Hmm.
I'm not upset that they lost per se.
No, I could just,
If,
like, yeah, man. Yeah.
if you show up and you play your guts out and you just come up short, hey, I tip my cap to you for the effort.
That's
But
kind of what Denver felt like.
30,
Yeah, that too.
when you're down 30 and I'm turning the game off before halftime in a do or die situation, that's not
Who? What
that's not a
happened to
ringing endorsement.
what happened to Jaden McDaniels? Do we need? Let's put the APB out right now for Jaden McDaniels because
Oh,
I'm
we
not
could do
sure
it
where
for
he
all the
is.
role players.
But like,
We could throw Nas Reed in there.
he's a deciding factor. Like if he's playing like a number three, like a real champ, like they're the team that we saw against the Lakers and the wins against the Warriors and stuff. McDaniels had a huge role in it. I don't think I heard his name in this game. You know what I mean? It's like
no, but
we should
but
probably
you
check on him, make sure he's still around.
but but you factor that in with Ant only had and in the last game he had what 16 points or 19 points or whatever it was. Ant was not good enough. And I understand your thing about McDaniels, but here's the thing with the McDaniels, and I don't mean this disrespectfully, but it's going to come out that way. He's a role player for a reason.
As your roles go, though, open shots. If that's on your resume that you're a guy that hits open shots, and Ant is creating them for you because they double him every time he touches the ball the entire series, brother,
I got another name for you though.
you got to be hitting those shots or dunking that
Linsanity.
ball. Insanity.
No, Linsanity. Maybe this was just a run the boys went on and they ran out of gas because that's what it looks like right now.
For the Wolves?
His role his role guys ran out of gas and maybe he did too.
Oh, Did it? I guess it. I don't know. It didn't feel like it was a fatigue thing, but it's always hard to tell. You never know what guys are going through sometimes, right?
And I got some advice for Ad here, okay?
Hmm.
Don't come out tomorrow and say you hit the wall. Whatever you do, do not come out tomorrow and say you hit the wall for the second year in a row, because that tells me
There's
you're not
nothing
in
good
the
that you can
gym.
say though. There's no winning in anything
No,
you
but
have to
you
say.
can't say that.
No, yeah, but he might. He might. He's just kind of again doing the pattern thing. I don't know. I don't know, man.
I
It
don't know. I'm fired up. I'm fired up. I'm very and I'm disappointed to such an extent that I, you know, oh man, I
Are you
wish it was
blowing it
over
up?
with it.
Are you blowing it up if this is the meeting post game with Tim Connolly and Alex
Yes,
and the boys
yes,
saying,
because
"Okay, great season,
I'll
but
tell you why. I'll tell you why. No disrespect, Mike Connolly, but we're adding 6 months to a year to your already slowed down body and your slowed down legs, and you played so many games in the NBA.
yeah,
We probably need a younger point guard and need somebody to come in and basically big brother him against the wall and be like, smarten up, kid.
23 years old, man. It's now or never. Like, which way?
That's it. And people will say that's not fair. He's 23, but two conference finals appearances. Look at the way we treat Luca. We treat
Yeah,
Luca the exact same way for Luca not
yeah,
winning,
yeah. Because we've
and
seen what
Luca's
they can
26
do.
years old.
Yeah, yeah.
So
And we
it's
just want
not
to see
that we're
them maximize. We want to see them squeeze all the juice out of the orange, right?
being unfair. It's we're holding them to the standard that they themselves have set.
Yeah, there you go. Well said. Couldn't put that any better.
You know, it's like us. When we come on to do a podcast, you're getting the best we have on that given day.
Hmm.
Some days are better than others, but on that given day, that's the best we have to give you.
Yeah,
And tonight we did not see the Timberwolves' best, and it's unfortunate that it was a do or die game, and it wasn't even a game 7, it was a game 5. And
it just felt it left such a bad taste in my mouth. To be honest, man.
I
If
told you I'm
you know,
spitting venom tonight, G.
yeah, you're telling no lies though. So all of it'll have a fair place to live in this world of sports commentary because man, there's some valid points that you're bringing up that if you're the Wolves or I was Ant's representation last night for a bit. I was like, all right, I'll be Ant's lawyer for his play. He was getting double teamed. He was getting da, 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 da. Like he was making the right plays. And if guys were playing with poise that we've seen them, things will go clickety clack. They might not double Ant every time, and then he hits. So there was a limited capacity that I felt like when you have Dort playing his best, Caruso playing his best, and Wallace all playing their best defensively, all focused on you. That's
Hey,
fine.
Chet, let's
He
give
can.
Chet
He can.
credit as well.
It's no. Oh yeah, yeah. And it's no problem, I think, for Edwards. He's like, okay, I've accepted this. But that's not the best shot when two guys are hanging on you. Even if you are like, hey, I could probably hit this, it's probably not the best shot. So you see McDaniels wide open. You see DiVincenzo wide open. You see Naz Reid wide open. Guys that hit 40% of threes over the year.
But the shots they were hitting in the first round, they were missing in round 3.
And they weren't aggressive. Okay, if those guys aren't hitting, McDaniels, DiVincenzo, Naz Reid, they need to be aggressive, taking it to the bucket and hit the bucket. Like it seemed like the 3-pointer was their first instinct over a 2-pointer every possession. It was like, we'll shoot a 2 if we have to.
Yes.
And that was Julius Randle. He was the only one to me that played like with any reasonable self-respect and the game of basketball in terms of, oh, yeah, I'll back you down. I'll take a 2. I'll take a 2 here.
Yeah, and in a 3-point lead, because I'm just gonna call it like it is.
For
If
now,
you're not hitting your
OKC might
shot,
change that.
I hope so, because I've been whining about this for a long time. The one man in, 4 man wide setup they have now is not fun to watch,
No,
especially when we see teams go 0 for 15 in the first 15 3 pointers of the game.
and it feels like they're not
Something's
even
got
trying.
something's got to be different. I'm sorry, something's got to
Mm.
be different. And everybody wants to be the Golden State Warriors, but they don't realize that dynasty is over.
Yeah,
That dynasty is over.
and
And
nobody's looking like
and
Clay or Steph here. So
and please keep the receipts on this, because if I'm wrong, come back and tell me I'm wrong. But for me, Steph is going to be 38 years old. Jimmy Butler's making two gazillion dollars, and they don't have a future that doesn't include Podzimski and Post without adding Kaminga, and they still have that leech of a coach, Steve Kerr, who hasn't changed his sets in 10 years.
what was his Simpsons character again?
He was the Waylon Smithers because he's always chasing a ghost.
So there's a reporter or former reporter for ESPN, Zach Lowe. You probably know Zach Lowe.
Yeah, I know Zach Lowe.
He was on Bill Simmons, I think, last night doing a cap of the night, and it reminded me Zach Lowe is a massive Simpsons fan. If we ever do our Simpsons crossover special where we take a special gander at a few things without giving anything away here, I was like, we send it to that guy because I think that not
Yeah,
only makes his day, but it would be an awesome connection to have. And he's an independent operator these days, so it's cool to see him
absolutely.
out there. But yeah, hardcore Simpsons. Yeah, there's
But
a new model of the NBA coming about, man. It's the Indiana Pacers and the Oklahoma City Thunder. What do you think about this new model? If we're to say this is the Rolls Royce, the cream has risen to the top. This is the best basketball of 2025, and perhaps the model going into 2026 for what the best basketball can look like. Do you think that's a good thing for the league? Do you feel like this is a good standard, low standard?
I love it
Yeah.
because unlike everybody else, Indiana and Oklahoma share the basketball. Shea still gets his 34. Tyrese still
Hmm.
had 32. But look at the numbers. It's 32, 12, and 11. It's 34, 13, and 13. They're balanced numbers. They're not Joker like where it's 45, 10, and 10. And I'm not picking on Joker. I'm just saying, and I said this to you all week, when one guy's doing all the work, you're usually in trouble.
That would bring us to the Knicks conversation as well, but let's stick on the Pacers Thunder here because I like looking at the positives too of what these guys are doing that's so effective and fun to watch because rarely those two sometimes are opposing. Tim
Mm-hmm.
Duncan, amazingly effective, snooze fast. So, but you can't knock him for it. It's just the style. But now we have
He's
two
a winner.
teams with exciting styles and are really, really good basketball teams at playing at the highest level of pace and efficiency that we've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty cool to see, man. And Simmons, another thing he said that was interesting from our Steve Nash, our Canadian brethren. He thinks that the Pacers are the bastard godchild of the Phoenix Suns and Mike D'Antoni. They're like, this is the one that if you're going to have to pick a team that kind of evolved and did a 2.0 version of that Phoenix Suns squad with the 7-second offense, he feels like the Pacers are executing that to a pretty good degree.
Here's the thing: D'Antoni was successful.
So are the
No
Pacers.
championship rings.
Yeah, could be the thing with the Pacers here too. We'll see, but Defense wins
But
championships. A wise man once said.
oh my god. Okay, okay. A wise man once said, okay, I'm just gonna leave it there.
It's been the
Yeah, that's
craziest.
correct.
It's been the craziest year of basketball. Like in the weirdest ways, but I guess that's every year. So what am I saying? It's
But
just a wild world.
it's why you love the game, right?
Yeah,
It's why you love the game.
it's simultaneously a wonderland fantasy of like
And
unreal things, but then at the same time the highest level
and
of
it's like
human
and
performance.
it's like I said in a previous podcast, we saw two superstars handle two different ways and both of them blew up in the GM's face. So it doesn't matter what you do, you're either right or you're wrong based on the decision you make. It doesn't matter whether you let him go or keep him.
Hmm.
Both decisions can be wrong.
Yeah, and I love that the OKC and Pacers are built around it being a team based on guys
Hmm.
that work well together, that bought in together, that really push each other too. You see, like there's a standard set that
Hmm.
they all adhere to, other than Matherin, but he's a different case. And I do have a soft spot for him, but he's a dirty
You
dirty
pick
dog.
on him a lot, though. I must say, for a guy who just said he has a soft spot for him, you sure do pick on him a lot.
But isn't that how we do, right? You know, sometimes the things that we got soft spots for, we'll poke extra hard at.
Hmm.
But
Get your
he's a
stuff
funny guy to
together, my
me.
guy.
Yeah, he's just a
That's
funny
what you're telling
character.
him. Get my stuff together, my guy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. He's just maybe not the most pacer. Like they all have a pretty clear identity, and I think this was on a podcast too. But I agree, Pacers have an identity, and he's not necessarily it, but he's like the featured character in Family Matters. He's your Waldo that shows up that you're like, you don't really fit the vibe, but without you, it gets a little dry out here. So sending in
Uh,
a little Waldo, Geraldo, Faldo, Daldo. Um, was that his last name?
ooh, yeah. Waldo, Geraldo, Faldo. Yep, that's right. That's a little Family That Matters reference for you youngsters out there. You can look it up at will.
I saw a picture of him somewhere that had that, and it was like a graduation photo. It was dope. Anyways, you got your Matherin adding that dynamic to you. That I think, yeah,
Well,
it's
it's
brilliant.
like I told you. It's like I told you last night after the Pacers game. Um, when Matherin hit that shot and Thibodeau had that look on his face, like we can't even stop this guy. It,
And he knows what that guy's, I think, capable of. Is oh
it was
no,
like we got
now he's waking up. Like we at least didn't
yeah.
have to deal with him. He scored 20 points a night in the regular season.
Mm-hmm.
He was like 6 man of the year, and he was a non-factor the whole playoffs. And the Pacers are going to the NBA Finals. So that's why I
Ooh,
think
bold claim
he's
made
a
by
funny
G.
he's a funny
No, it's not.
character.
No,
What's
it's
that?
not a bold claim. I said, ooh, bold claim made by G here.
No, no,
Pacers are going to
no.
the final.
Yeah, prove me wrong. Um,
And here's our surprise guest to combat G. Spike, give G your thoughts. No, Spike's not here.
Spike is in mourning. He's not done yet, though. He's in the lab right now. He's working with Jalen Brunson, um, not in person, but he's working on his speech for Jalen Brunson, I think. And it's going to go something like this: brother, you're the best, most baddest player out there. Pass the ball, play defense. You'll be all right.
It reminds me of that drumline scene where he's like, "You're the best, but nobody hears you; they hear us."
Amen. 5 fingers on their own, you can break them easy. Got a
Mm-hmm.
fist, break that. There's something to be said for seeing the youth do this too. Like this isn't a veteran squad on either end. This is a
Mm-hmm.
young group of dudes that are showing this level of like focus, maturity, and and like it's not easy to come by these days.
That's why I told you. It's not an age thing. It's the standard you set thing.
Say it for the people in the back. Mm,
You know, it's like
yeah,
it's like how we hold the legends of the past to a higher standard because we know what they're capable of. It's like we hold now the Tatums and the Giannis's to championship standards because we know what they're capable of.
yeah, yeah. Those guys are so good that you feel like the old superstar formula can still work with them. Like all we need is them, right? They're that
Yeah,
good, but
that
this new day and
that's
age
what
means you
that
need more. But
you know why we don't talk about Joker the way we talk about Ant? Because Joker's got a ring,
yeah, yeah,
and
facts.
and
Yeah,
that makes a huge difference.
yeah, so true. Is there anybody on the Wolves that has a ring?
Not unless they're married.
I don't think I've ever heard that one. That's got to be a clip right there, man. Bow. There's there's an issue. There's a problem.
There's the problem. Yeah,
I would say, man, you don't have anybody that's gone the distance.
there it is. There it is.
OKC does neither, you could say, but Caruso does. So take that back. Yeah,
Caruso has a ring,
he's got a little one.
and Siakam has a ring.
Oh, he's got a big one.
Huh?
I said he's got a big one. Caruso's is little because it's the bubble, just a little bubble.
Yeah. Oh! We're not doing that again because we'll be here half
I know,
hour arguing over that.
I'm just fooling
But
you. Caruso had a
but
killer game.
but what do you think the chances are of Pascal walking away with a second ring?
You know what, man? He might be the X factor to that question. Honestly,
If you had to
he's
put a percentage on it, what are the odds the Pacers beat the Thunder? What's the percentage, G?
40%.
Ooh, that's a little bit higher than me. I had it at 35, so we're in the same. We're in the
And
ballpark, brother.
I'd like to hedge higher, but I know that would be foolish after what
It
I've
would.
witnessed.
It would be foolish.
Shay, here's a quote that I heard from Shannon Sharp that was, "You don't do something till you get it right. You do it till you can't get it wrong."
That's right.
Shay's done that for everything. So I don't know if you can
But
stop him. He's done all the work prior to this, the preparation of everything you do just till you can't get it wrong. Like his fades, his takes, his defense, his stamina, his leadership. It's all the standard,
and
like you said.
every great player has that crossroad where you're like, you can't stop him.
Yeah, he's just done
And
such work.
everybody's had one. When they said, "Oh, because remember we used to talk about Joker just like this, and then he broke through, and
Mm,
now we're like, can't touch him because not only
yeah,
does he have a ring, but he was the most dominant player on a championship team,
and did things that we've never seen before, right? So it
and
wasn't
did things that
just
we've never. To this day, he's still doing that.
yeah, and it's
Remember the
easy
turnaround three
sometimes.
point.
Yeah,
Remember the turnaround whirly bird three that he hit
that's his
earlier.
specialty apparently. Or what do you call it? Like his finishing move. Like if he wants to do something crazy, this is the one he's practiced a
It's
thousand
it's the
times.
Mortal Kombat fatality, right?
And what a move, man! Just a lazy sort of spinny doopity doo fade away from half court like it's nothing. That's ice cold, man.
I
He's
have a
something
question
special.
for you as a basketball fan. Are you disappointed that these conference finals haven't been more competitive?
To be honest, no. My nervous system can only take so much NBA playoff basketball, and it's been some good ones this year. I feel pretty satisfied on some of these lower games. I want to see the finals now. And I feel like if these series were drawn out, it would have just felt really drawn out because I don't have any faith at all in Minnesota or New York to be an NBA champion, let alone um, keeping this interesting. So I like that it'll be over quick when it's like this. It's just let's get to it. Let's get the two best teams. Let's see what they got. And the NBA playoffs have already provided more than enough. Like viral
Drama.
moments, drop moments, like can't believe it moments, and more. So at this point, I'm like, okay, Mad Max Thunder
Let,
Road is done. Now we're
let,
doing one
let's
more.
lace them up and yes, sir. And I just I'm curious as to who's the biggest surprise in this NBA playoffs and who's the biggest disappointment. G, let's go there.
That's a great question, man. Biggest surprise has to be the Pacers, I think, as a team, and the level of poise shown by Tyrese Halliburton as a burgeoning superstar. Um, that's the first one that comes to mind for most like surprising in a positive light, especially for how harsh I was on the Pacers last year. To see this is not only surprising but just like amazing. It's amazing. On the disappointing side, let Santa get out his long ass naughty list because my goodness, man, there's been a few of those, and I don't know if I have a top one coming to mind, but it might be in the realm of the Warriors and Lakers. Just like, come on, guys.
I'm still gonna go with the little brother Clippers because I expected them to get more done this year.
And they
As
did
far
have
as
the makeup of a team that looked like they were handling their business. They were not playing with their food. It looked like.
no, and that's the most disappointing part for me. And I say this as a guy who's been openly critical about the Clippers, but I'm not doing that here. What I'll say here real quick just to wrap this point up is even when they threw their best shot, they couldn't get it done. So what does that say about the organization?
Should say the same
Th-
as all the other ones that have gone out in the playoffs like the way they have is like you're not good enough. As currently
Yeah,
constructed, you're not good enough.
because the Clippers have done this over and over and over again, and this was their best shot. Like over the last, call it 5, 6 years, however long they've been good, this was their best chance to make a statement this year. I think with this team in particular,
I just
and
had
they
a
didn't really get it
very
done.
oh buddy, I just had a real wild trade thought now that you're saying that because you're making my pitch of what I think this trade Kawhi Leonard.
Where are you trading him to?
Hate to do this to your knee, my friend, because I know cold weather ain't gonna love you for it, but Milwaukee needs a guy. Because
Oh,
because yes, Giannis wants the sunshine. He wants to live where it's not cold. He's a billionaire. He's like, at bare minimum, I shouldn't have to live in the winter. Fair enough. Watch for it.
and he's in the right. Where I get mad at Giannis on that one, just to be consistent, is the same reason I got mad at Dame for going to Milwaukee. You claim to be loyal to the soil,
And
and
we don't
now
know
you're
he's leaving yet. We can't make any
no,
accusations if
but
he
no,
hasn't
but if
said
we're
anything. He
gonna
hasn't put out
but if
anything.
we're
So
gonna speculate, if we're gonna speculate, then I'm
yeah,
gonna speculate.
yeah, no, that's fair. That you would be disappointed if he did do that. Yeah,
I would be disappointed, and it's
yeah,
not
fair.
because it's just you know, and I know this is a business, and people can call me gullible or wide-eyed or naive or whatever. But I'm the type of guy, especially if you're a superstar, I'm gonna take you at your word the first time. And for a while, I thought the hope was gonna be Dame. He's like, "This is my city. This is my team. This is my franchise." And even he, so I guess I shouldn't be surprised anymore, is what I'm saying.
How long
And
till
in
Ant
case,
asks out till Miami?
oh, that's going to be real quick. That's
So that
going to
was
be
my
real
other
quick
thought. They're going to try to swing Ant and a Giannis or something like that and
because
reset in
because you know
Miami.
what's going to happen. You know what's going to happen. Next year, Minnesota goes out in round two. Ant gets frustrated and he wants out of Minnesota next year.
Yeah,
At the end of next year,
him and KD
that's
end
my
up in
prediction.
Miami. That sounds like something that could happen.
That's my prediction. Ant's got one more year in Minnesota, and then he's gonna get KD syndrome where he gets tired of everybody talking about him, and he's gonna start chasing that ring like KD did.
Or chasing other things,
Yeah, but I just think he's gonna get tired of people
sunshine,
being
money,
that.
you know.
Yeah,
And for the reasons that you're saying, yeah, you probably get sick of it and then go, okay, so my best option is just find a nice sunny city where people are happy all the time, and I just get to play
yeah, where they
basketball.
don't expect me to win.
Yeah, we got a lot of those teams to choose from.
Yeah, because one myth I'll bust right now is winning is not the most important thing to every NBA player in the league. I'm sorry to have to break that to people, but that's just the truth.
But yeah, especially at certain points in their career too. I think it goes money, family, and then probably everything else. Hopefully, it's the
Oh,
reverse on the first two, but no,
I would hope so.
you don't.
I would hope that your family comes before
Sometimes
money.
taking care of money is taking care of your family, so it's a maybe chicken and an
It's
egg situation there.
a chicken egg thing, yeah. But
Mm,
you said Miami. What has you got? What's got you saying Ant is going to Miami? Or are you just pulling an outro here?
but it's an instinct thing of okay, let's say Pat Riley is just quietly asked by the board to have his role limited, and the players that come there aren't limited in their social lives.
Hmm.
And maybe this is actually a little segue here into a really interesting conversation that I heard last night is the face of the league thing. Ant can't be the face of the league right now for many reasons. The one number one being what we just witnessed. But there's never been a face of the league that hasn't been married with kids. And Shannon went
Okay.
through this last night on
No,
almost like,
I saw this segment. I
and I
saw
was
this
like,
very segment.
damn. So if you're Ant and you know that's not your path, what's your path? Miami, right? Like it's just a natural hop, skip, and a jump to what's the opposite of family life? Miami. Stephen A. You think Stephen A. raves about a city like it was where he was born and died in? If it wasn't, something a little something special. And it's no taxes, and it's the Eastern Conference, which is hella weak right now. I just think it's an open canvas for for some guys to try to go take over there because of
I,
their
I would
interests.
I
It's
would agree.
location, taxes. Like those things.
I
Yeah.
would agree, and the Heat faithful don't put as much pressure on you as many other teams do. I'm sure internally the Heat organization does, but the Heat faithful are a little bit more forgiving than most franchises in the league.
Hmm.
And
And you could enjoy
that's an
some
interesting take.
10, 15 years of nothing but sunshine and millions. Like, ooh. And if you had a guy that was your, kind of ideal running mate, suddenly Ant and Jaw are competing for that spot. So, yeah, Toronto. It made me
I,
think. Boy, Toronto is so screwed sometimes when I think about it. But they got to
I
take
think
chances
about what
on
you just I think about what you just said. Ant and Ant and Jaw, by the time it's all said and done, and you can keep receipts on this too. I tell you, keep receipts when I'm right and when I'm wrong.
That's what
Ant and
YouTube's
Jaw,
for.
huh?
I said that's what YouTube's for.
You bet. But what I'm gonna say here is Ant and Jaw might be no, I'll throw one more name in there. Excuse me while I back this up a bit. Anthony Edwards, John Morant, and Zion Williamson. By the end of the day, these are the three men that could be competing for the most disappointing career by the time it's all said and done, based on what
All
I've seen so far to this point in the evolution of their games.
it's weird that
Those
all three, as far as I know, are not married too, just based on that other conversation. Too many distractions?
too many distractions, I think.
Honestly, I mean, we're human here. We don't have to say anything about anything, but
But I'm just
if
thinking,
I had to pick one thing,
yeah. But I'm just thinking for the expectations we have on those three guys, by the end of it, they could all be competing for the worst looking career at the end of it when they retire,
they spent
as
way
far as
too much,
disappointment goes.
spent all their time looking for Pootie Tang instead of shooting that thing. My goodness.
Could be. Cobb was in the gym at 6 o'clock. I know that's an unfair representation, but
Who's in the
Cobb put the work in all every day.
married?
Now
Absolutely.
I know that's the most ridiculous comparison to make of all time ever, but also, are these boys serious about basketball? And I'm asking on behalf of all three of them. Are they serious? I don't know. I
Boy,
couldn't tell you
yeah.
for sure.
It's super interesting, man. I think there's going to be some shakeups this off season, and I think those three guys are kind of cooked. To be honest, if we were just to step back and relax the
That's what I mean.
shoulders and just be like, everybody's allowed to pursue their own path and this and that. Those guys are done. Like they're moving on their own path, and it's maybe not what the majority of the world wants to see, but it's their path, right?
It is their path, and I'm not judging them by any stretch. But I'm just saying, based on the expectations that we had for them going into their careers, they could be battling for the most disappointing career of their generation. That's just me.
No, for sure. They were talked about like they were the second coming. They built it up as a LeBron-esque possibility. They didn't like sell it as hard as the Cooper flag and Wembanyama, but it was sold just about as hard.
Yeah. So
And
those
to
three
end up
boys,
here,
I got my eye on them. I'll just put it that way.
Jalen Green,
Jalen Green.
you got to add him to the group.
Yeah, you can add him to the group.
He's had a few shots at it now, and it's not looking good.
See, because eventually it doesn't matter how young you are. Once you develop a pattern over 5 or 6 years, that's kind of what you've become, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean?
Man,
Like
big
at
time.
like like after year 7, that's kind of what you are.
Whew.
Because you're
Unless
now
you go through a spiritual transformation a la Kyrie because of some sort of crisis
a
in
la
life.
Kyrie Irving.
But that's what once every who knows, like DeMar DeRozan, I think went through something similar where he had kind of a full breakdown and
DeMar
then rebuilt.
DeRozan, even Lonzo, when he got back on the floor, it was more about basketball. There was no chatter about his
Yeah,
dad or anything like that. Lonzo just found a way to play basketball,
yeah.
and even
So
even Luca over the last 3 weeks, and I know that's a small sample size. He's getting in the gym. He's working. He's trying, and I don't see that effort yet from these three young gentlemen. That
that we're
shows me they
blessed.
want to be there.
Yeah, it's true, and we've seen how many levels there are to this thing. Like watching CEBL tonight, because the game was such a blowout. I flipped to the Vancouver Bandits taking on the Winnipeg.
Oh, I didn't know that game was on tonight.
It was on the Game TV. If you get that channel, my pops had
Oh, it
it
was on
on.
Game TV. What
Yeah, it looked really good though. Like the it looked at and the pace was
presentation was better?
shockingly. It didn't seem like when I watched the G League or CBL last time on TV, it looked so much slower than the NBA. It was almost like, ugh, not not this time. It's like their league
Well,
upgraded.
well, I don't want to admit this on the podcast because I love the CEBL. Like the game we went to was awesome and I had a lot of fun.
Mm.
But there was a moment where I was looking around going, "Wow, this is pretty janky. Like this is
It's early days. It's early days in
like
a professional
no." And I
league. Yeah.
understand, and that's why I didn't want to say it on the podcast. But I will tell you from personal experience, and this goes out to anybody in the lower mainland, if you can get to the Langley Civic Center to watch the Vancouver Bandits, it may look janky and it may even feel janky when you get in there. But the one thing that isn't really janky is the basketball. So if you get the opportunity to go watch the Bandits,
And
please take
everything's
the opportunity
improving.
to do so.
It's nice to see something early days. Yeah, exactly what you're saying, man. Because you're seeing it develop. Like you'll notice uh, in July when you're there next, you'll go, oh, like they've upgraded their staff. Like everything's just a bit more refined, a bit
That's what I mean.
better.
Like, if don't judge the product by what you see on TV.
But
If you're
actually,
gonna
I
go,
think it's safe too now. I think if you put it on, you'll be impressed. You'll be like, hey, these guys look good. They
because
don't
I've
look
seen the
like.
CEBL on TV before.
But I would
That was,
say check it out this year. It's a ton of different guys, ton of different vibes, and the Vancouver team's undefeated, and we've averaged like a 30-point blowout on people, except tonight.
but
We
but go
had
check
squeak
out the
one.
Bandits. I promise you'll have a bunch of fun.
There's so many good characters too. Mitch Creek, the Australian Hammer. Whew,
Yeah, Australian Hammer.
that's a nickname in progress, but he's amazing. A
I'm
lightning rod.
telling you, when I get these guys' social medias, I'm gonna try set up some interviews.
Oh, please do,
Worst
man,
they
because
can
that would
say
be
is no.
amazing. Yeah. Oh, anyways, the I don't know where I derailed us from there to get on the Vancouver Bandits.
I don't know how that happened. Oh, it was because the game was so bad tonight. That's what it was.
Yeah, that's true. There was moments where I was watching guys on the CEBL going, I bet you that guy could have hit an open shot. Like, come on. Minnesota was really tough to watch tonight, and I think that's going to demand some kind of action. I hope it's not firing Chris Finch, but I feel like it's going to be firing Chris Finch.
And that's why I was so venomous when I came on. Like I said, it wasn't the fact that the Timberwolves lost. I can handle a team losing. The
It's that
fact
you
is, for
lost.
me, it was the lack of heart that really showed up for the Timberwolves tonight.
Yeah.
Like, you can lose by 8, 9, even 12, but going down by 30 is that's not fun for anybody.
Would
You
you
got
say,
caved in tonight.
yeah, again? Like it feels like they've just been dominated the entire series. Am I wrong in that?
No, and that's why I said since round one, this Timberwolves team is not as good as everybody thinks they are.
They're very two-faced. They can play up to a standard, and it can be quite a high standard. And that's what's very deceptive, is that when they're playing to that high standard, it's like, okay, you've got some really nice pieces here, but their attitudes of flip-flopping in weird moments on a collective level, it leaves a lot to be desired.
And that's just it, G. It's the consistency.
Mhm. So New York Knicks, what do you think of their Kurt? Like compare the T Wolves' performance this series to the Knicks. What are you seeing that you like, don't like? Let's say Finch is getting the axe on Wolves' end.
Oh,
Uh,
Thibodeau is next.
Thibodeau would be the
Unless
logical.
unless the Knicks, and look, this has nothing to do with the Knicks' effort. I will tell you that right now. This is different for Tibbs. Tibbs is
Mhm.
going to be let go because of his overall history as the Knicks head coach. It's not going to be because they lost 4-1 to the Indiana Pacers. It's going to be the lack of results that Tibbs has gotten as the Knicks head coach,
Hmm.
and they're going to need a different voice in there. So this is on Tibbs, but it's not on Tibbs as much as it is for Mister Finch
Yeah, because it looks like
and
he lost the locker room entirely.
Finch or Thibodeau.
Finch.
Because the boys are still competing over there in New York. They're losing, but they're
It's an ugly.
competing.
Yeah, they got a real bad team, but it's one of those teams that's real bad news bears. Like you leave them room, they're not going to stop. They're going to keep getting every last
They're,
little bit
they're
of
they're a
food.
slightly better version of the injured Dallas Mavericks.
Mm,
Whereas they're competing every night, they're just not good enough to get where they want to go.
yeah, and I think they've got a real Brunson problem. And the only reason he's a problem is because he's so good. Like you can't have your
Yeah,
best piece working against you.
I
You-
get what you're saying. But again, it goes back to the conversation we had the other night. If you take him out for 8 minutes, the Knicks can pull it together.
But you
But
got
if
to
you took him out of
develop
the
guys,
but
and you can't do
but
that
if
if you're
you
just constantly chopping them at the knees. It's not
but
fair.
if you take him out for 48 minutes, that Nick team looks below average. So there's got to be a balance in there somewhere where
But
you
you
can
don't get
get.
that balance if you don't develop your guys, your bench
Yeah,
guys.
it's a weird thing. And guess who that's on? That's on Sideshow Thibodeau.
Right. Yes. It really
That
is because he's like, he's like, Mo, Graham, got it. I've heard it all before. I wanted to go with these guys, and none of the other bench players showed me that they had the resolve to be in the rotation. So I'm going with the guys that do. And I would
okay?
say,
You want to know?
then you got the wrong guys.
You know what my response to Thibodeau is? If he tells me that,
Hmm.
if he says, "Mo, these are my guys, and I'm going down with these guys," my response to that would be, "Look, Tibbs, this is gonna be an honest heart to heart between Mo and Tibbs,
If
and I'm gonna
anybody,
sit Tibbs down, and I'm gonna say, look, you thick-headed head coach of an NBA basketball team that probably doesn't deserve to be where they are, and this is the truth.
yeah, Detroit
You
Pistons should be there right now.
you have done this before, this exact same way, and you have ruined careers, aka MVP Derrick Rose, and a
Mm,
laundry list of other players that you have run into the ground and failed in the playoffs. So why would you in 20 years or 23 years or whatever the number is, you're still coaching the same way? It's you, Tibbs. It's not your roster. It's not your bench players. It is you, my friend. That
yeah,
is what Mo would say to Tibbs if he was having an honest heart to heart.
yeah. Do you think he would receive it with any ears, or is he a guy that's so
No, he'd
closed
be
off?
like, no, he'd be like, I'm Tibbs. Like,
But isn't that
you
the
know,
fundamental problem? Is if he's not willing to listen to anybody, like let's
no,
say,
but
you know,
it's like that Instagram reel where he's like, where they're like, I'm Gibby, and then they're like, but you did this, but and then he's like, but I'm still Gibby. He'd be like, I'm Tibbs, and I'd be
mm,
like, but you failed every time you've done this, and he'd
but
be
I'm
like,
Tim.
but I'm still Tibbs.
And it's reflected in the star player too, right? He's like, I don't have to change. I'm Brunson. It's like, yeah, but we're not going to win if you don't change. It's like, I'm
Uh, and
Brunson.
and and that's the whole thing, right? Like let's
It's
say
a
this
Wally
Luca,
robot on loop.
let's say this Luca thing doesn't work out where he's getting in shape, but at least he's trying to change something.
Well, we'll see. We don't know if that was AI too.
Well, it came from my boy Trevor Lane at Laker Nation. So if you're a Laker fan, check out Laker Nation because I like Trevor Lane. He does good reporting.
Okay,
But
I'll
you're right,
respect
it
that.
could be AI. It could be AI. But what I'm saying is, at least he's trying to change. Let's take it at
Let's
face
give him
value
the
and
benefit
say
of
it's
the
real.
doubt. And yeah,
He's he's trying to change the narrative. Whereas these other
let's
guys,
assume. Yeah,
are doing that. They're like, I'm him. Like, and I'm not changing.
but the
And
unfortunate part for Luca is he's only changing now because he was kicked out the house.
But you have to remember what you said about Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving had to have that come to moment.
Um, and it's not to say this isn't his moment
Kyrie
because, like
Irving
you're saying, Luca can use this moment, and he is potentially to turn the narrative around.
and
Use your
Kyrie
roster
had to get kicked out the house.
exactly right, so
Uh,
it doesn't condemn the person if they're willing to change.
no, and we're gonna see because we're gonna. I'm not gonna say anything till October
Yeah,
because
it's the true, it's
opening
the
night
fair.
is when. Look, you can be 225 pounds, 6 foot one, chiseled out of stone. It doesn't matter if you come out and get 2 points and two rebounds on opening night and you have a stinker. So the results will speak for themselves.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Hmm. I wonder what the
What's on your
yeah.
mind, G? I don't see you shaking your head too like that too often.
Oh, my head's spinning just thinking about a team like the Lakers in the Western Conference. I'm just like, it really does make my head spin of how much talent is built through that, yet all seem infantile compared to the way the Thunder are handling the business, and honestly, the Pacers to a large extent as well. So it makes me shake my head at what would a team have to do if you were the manager or coach or whatever to pitch how you're going to take on this new type of basketball that the Thunder have essentially copyrighted. And with the aprons thing of like only being able to have two max salaries, I guess when all is
I
said and
know that's
done.
weird. That's weird. I
In an
don't
age of endless money, it seems weird to limit your billionaires and
you
their
know
toys.
here's my complaint about the salary cap and the aprons and everything, okay? You got a minute, G?
Hit me, buddy.
He-
You know,
he- Here's my and I don't swear often on the pod, but I'm gonna right here. This is the stupidest fucking thing the NBA could have ever done.
mm-hmm.
Because I'm gonna explain, and it's not because I'm a Laker guy, and it's not because I want limitless money. Because if we wanted to, we'd figure out a way to figure shit out. But you're also capping the minor teams like the Charlottes and the
OKC,
Wizards.
Jalen
Huh?
Williams, Jalen Williams, and Chet Holmgren were drafted in the same year. Shea's already on a max. Who you cutting?
If it was me with my personal bias, and I admit this is personal bias, it's Chet Holmgren.
You're cutting them?
If I have to choose between the two, yeah, it's Chet.
Okay, we fall on different sides of the coin on that one for sure. I think he's something
We
special
do.
in the ways that are going to continue to be the in the moment crazy block when you needed it most type plays. Like I think he's a winning player that has a really crazy unique body and skill set that I haven't seen anybody as competitive as him that is that physique. Like he is so competitive. And he's
I've heard the hype. I'm waiting for him to show up. That's what
oh,
I'm.
well, we've seen it all series. Like he's been a consistent force of disruption,
But, but
offense.
yeah, but my point is, you're hurting everybody,
Yeah,
and you're doing it under the fake guise of we want this competitive league, when you know the Charlottes, the Washingtons, and that aren't going to be competitive anyway. So,
it's the
all you're
old thing of putting lipstick on all these pigs, man. When
all you're doing is hurting your product and making your GMs worse.
yeah, and you're almost punishing good team building of like, hey, we drafted really well, we've built up assets, we've got guys that developed higher than we thought they would, but we can't pay them now when it matters most.
Imagine this happened to the Warriors when it was Steph, Clay, and people in their prime.
Great,
Imagine this happened 15 years ago.
great point, man. And somebody made the point too of like, so what about the super teams? People love super teams. And I was like, I get what you're saying. Like, yeah, that's what draws the eyes. That's what draws storylines. And when it was, occasional, maybe it was a bit more acceptable. But then I think it got excessive. So then there was this over the top reaction to that. And now it's put us in a situation that's, yeah, way too far the other way.
Here's my. Maybe I didn't express myself clearly because I made it more about the money than I should have. What I should have said was this: take your Wizards, take your Hornets, take your Brooklyns. Am I missing anybody here, G?
Oh, of course. Portland, New Orleans.
Take take your Portland, take your New Orleans, and make them compete with us to us. If you're gonna cap us at the first apron, make them spend money too. Because what we're doing with this revenue sharing is we're still giving them the money, but you're limiting our spending. So at
Mm-hmm.
least make them compete with us. I'm not saying they have to outspend us, but I'm saying don't let your best player be Jordan Poole because you want to save money.
And with Shepard in the
Compete.
league now, Jordan Poole is just looking like a fool with that mustache.
No, but what I'm saying is make the league competitive in such a way that this matters. If
Yeah.
you're going to cap us, make the other teams be like, okay, now we have a chance to compete because that's what this is designed for, right? This is what I keep being told. This is for a competitive NBA, but you're still going to have your Charlottes and your Washingtons and your Pelicans that don't spend money, and it irritates me because now you're just limiting
And yeah, and not only are you
everything.
limiting that, but you're limiting teams that are trying to build good teams. So if you can only have two guys that eat up, what, like 80% of your salary, if you're to get two max guys, so Scotty Barnes and Quickly, bam, 60%, let's say, of our salary cap and all that is done. It's like, damn, you're not leaving teams a lot of room to build around, and those guys are low max guys, like 35
That's
million
what
guys, not even 60
That's
million.
what I'm saying. Make don't make them compete with us financially, but at least make them feel the competitive roster.
Well, think of the Knicks. Cat's probably making 60 a year now, I think. Brunson took a pay cut just so they could build that team, and that team's nowhere near good enough. I think they've made it almost too difficult to build teams through trading and more
You see
natural
what
ways.
you see the point I'm trying to convey though, right? Is like
Yeah, they're letting
make
a bunch of guys kind of just scoot on mediocrity and eating from a trough that they contribute little to nothing in, and overall just
and
water
and
down the product. And
and if you were gonna do it this way with the apron one and apron two, I have a suggestion for you, Mr. Adam Silver. If you're gonna be this restrictive on the spending, go the hockey route, make it a hard cap and have everybody's capped out at the same money, regardless of whether you're in Los Angeles, Atlanta, New Orleans, or Chicago or
mm-hmm,
Charlotte.
mm-hmm,
Make sure that set the salary cap at 300 million or whatever the number is that you want per
yeah,
year and have everybody play. If you're that concerned about it, have everybody play under the same rules with the same cap number.
that's the logical conclusion. I would say guaranteed contracts. You don't move into the NFL unguaranteed situation. You'll never convince players on that. But you could pitch the guaranteed contracts under hard cap. Why not? Like, this apron rule feels ridiculous because if it's
That,
meant to
that's what I'm
discourage,
saying.
you're punishing the middle guys, because Balmer, if he wants to spend,
He can get
let
the apron too.
apron 3. How many aprons you got? I got
Two.
time. Make it four. Like
But what?
for the
But
guys
what?
that
Why?
can spend too much, there's never a number you can put on them that is going to affect them. So you're not even stopping really you know, the tide of somebody like Steve Ballmer. If he thought he had a chance to win a championship and it just would cost him an extra 500 million Billy for some taxes,
He doesn't care.
he'd do it.
Tax write off.
And so that doesn't help because now the Clippers are stacked.
That's what I said. Put the hard cap in. Make everybody play under the same number and the same rules. Ditch the apron thing altogether and just have a hard cap like they do in hockey, so that like the cap in hockey is, I think it's 93 million or whatever it is, but everybody has to come in under that number.
You know what
And
the
I
apron
think
thing is?
no, it's a hard cap in hockey at like 93 million.
Yeah,
So
because that's
why not do that in the NBA where you have a hard cap where everybody's got to be under the same number? Because the way they're doing this apron thing is ridiculous.
I just figured out the logic to it. If you're a rich guy, it's that the rich get richer and the poor get poorer, right? Because if you have the apron system going and you're a small market team, you're likely not wanting to go into any taxes at any point unless you have struck it rich with a superstar lottery pick guy. What the actual apron is doing is like an overdraft fee for billionaires. It's to discourage them from going crazy, but it's not doing anything to create equity.
No, it's not. Nor
It's
will should it.
like, oh, okay, Grim, you can't spend over your limit. If you do, it's going to cost you this much extra. All right, fine. Good thing I've got some extra. So yeah, I'm going to dip into it and pay the whatever. Okay, well, Milwaukee's going. We can't afford that.
We can't get there.
So how's your system then creating any like, oh, just the guy feels a little bit bad because he had to pay a bit more? Like it's a really deceptive system, I think, because it makes it look like they're punishing the rich, but really they control the majority of everything
That's
still that way.
that's the whole thing, dude. That's the whole thing. That's why I'm an advocate of the hard cap. Make everybody come in under the same number.
What's the argument against that?
The argument against that is the rich guys want to monopolize everybody, but now they got the apron system, so it doesn't make any difference anyway.
Yeah.
Because see, what it used to be was a luxury tax
Yeah.
before they put the apron in. So let's say the salary cap was 200 million, right? Back in
Mm-hmm.
the day. But the Lakers wanted, I don't know, Shaquille O'Neal, for example. But to get Shaquille O'Neal, they'd have to go to 280 million. So for every bit that they're over, they would pay a certain percentage in luxury tax, which
Okay.
is how it used to work. And then they put in this apron system. I don't know why. And you still pay the luxury tax, but it's designed in a way that you can't go over it more than twice, or you get ridiculous fines. Like I think
Again,
if you
for a
go over
poor
the
person, that's scary. For a rich person, what's a fine? Oh, it's something you throw money at. Here you go. Just didn't know what that was.
it's like $250 million or something. I don't know what the penalty is.
Smithers, go pay this
I
man
don't
his
know.
money.
To Bomber, it wouldn't make a difference.
To a lot of the men, because they're in consortium groups of gigantic billionaire boys clubs that all get together. So I really don't get it why these guys are so fucking cheap, man. Yeah.
Because and I don't and I'm not and I'm gonna attack the Dallas ownership group. I'm not gonna talk about Nico. I'm just gonna talk about the Adelson family. The Adelson family doesn't care about basketball.
Oh. they're not a family run operation that was in this for years and decades of growth and this and that. They're just business people buying
But
another
that's what
business. Might
that's
as
what
well.
the NBA
Yeah,
is protecting them against themselves, basically.
but how does it protect them against themselves?
Because if we cap you at the first apron like they did last year, you cannot go out and spend hundreds of $1 million after that because you can't go over that apron.
But what if we have infinite money?
Doesn't matter. You're at the apron. We capped you.
Oh, like there's a hard cap. So there is a hard cap.
No, but it's weird because it's hard caps at aprons. There's a hard cap at the first apron, and there's a hard cap at the second apron.
How's it a hard cap if you can go through it?
But there's only a certain circumstance where you can go through them.
Okay.
Like the rules are different.
So weird.
It is. That's why I don't like it.
Hmm. Yeah, I'd be a bad billionaire.
I'd be a horrible billionaire.
Actually, we'd probably be really good ones because we'd be doing things with the money that is far and above what the ratio of what they're doing with the money is, probably.
All right, I just pulled it up on Google real fast. So I'll read you the highlighted section.
Cool.
Salary cap restrictions limit a team's ability to sign and trade players when their payroll exceeds certain thresholds. The first apron restrictions restricts teams from signing certain wave players and limits trade matching windows. And then it goes on to say, while the second apron adds further restrictions like limiting the use of mid-level exceptions and restricting trades involving multiple players and cash. So it's designed so that you can be idiot proofs your GM basically.
Hmm.
Teams cannot execute sign-in trades that would take them over the first apron threshold.
It's funny because they've essentially made everybody an idiot then because you can't operate the teams that you're wanting to have them perform at, like, oh, we want to see competitive games. Well, sometimes that takes bringing in good players and mixing and matching guys and, trial and error to like anything else. And if you've limited my ability to try and error things and move any pieces on on the chessboard, well, your product's going to suffer because of it.
Teams above Here's an interesting one. Teams above the second apron at the end of the regular season will have their first round pick 7 years out frozen. So they're really idiot proofing the GM role here.
It's an interesting
Meaning
conversation for my brain
meaning
that's
that
just like, trying to wrap the logic around, but it's
meaning it cannot be traded until after 3 years of being below the second apron. So yeah, they basically idiot proofed the GM role in the NBA.
but they've limited it so much that the teams can't be interesting anymore.
Yeah, you see my problem.
So it's like if we had old gladiator days, we're back in the Coliseum. You got your gladiator, I got mine. Paid them, this and that. You got your best guy, this and that. You're telling me now we have to go back, be like, sorry, Russell Crowe, I can't afford you. Jeff,
Sabotted.
put some rough armor on him and fucking get in there. Jeff died that night. It was not even close. It was
Well, I'm just showing you how
so,
I'm showing you how ridiculous these rules are.
but that's it. And if everybody in the audience is like, well, that wasn't very fun, man. We just saw Jeff get out there 5 seconds and just dead. We were expecting a fight. It's like, well, yeah, I would have loved to have paid my guy, but I was restricted by Pontius Pilate's little hard cap here. So we had to make a last minute trade,
Remember when there was talk about the Mavs forfeiting games? It was because they were cut off at the first apron. They didn't have money to sign anybody else.
See, you're forcing teams into all kinds of weird ways to then find loopholes and manipulate themselves into
See
power
that
positions.
that's what I don't like about it. At least if you have the hard cap, you know the number. Everybody's got to be under that number, and it
Because
makes more realistic sense.
you know what they've done? They've sort of put it in a black box. So anybody that doesn't speak economic 101 lawyer talk and this and that are pretty much just grasping at
Oh
the
yeah, I
surface,
will tell you. I will
right?
tell you. I will tell you this straight up on the podcast while we're still rolling here. I read it. I don't even understand what I just read, dude.
Man, we could probably grill the best of them, Brian Windhorst, Zach Lowe. If they might not be able to finish that conversation with us having a clear understanding, and we're not dum-dums, right? So it's like it's a very mysterious system they've created essentially for the layperson to know nothing about it, and that's also interesting that they've kind of put it all in a Wizard of Oz.
But you look at it, all the sports leagues are starting to price out their fans now.
Just like music, you got $600 to go see ACDC. Oh,
No, I don't got no 600. Oh,
well,
do
you
you want
should
to
because
throw up?
ACDC rocks.
Do you want to throw up, G?
What's that?
I'm an avid WWE guy, as you know, right?
Oh, hell
And
yeah.
it's no secret.
Hell yeah.
So the advertisement for SummerSlam came out the other day. The 2 night
Okay.
SummerSlam next year,
Oof.
right? And
Okay.
ballpark it. How much do you think the front row VIP tickets cost for SummerSlam
For the whole event,
for the whole event with
30K
autographs and backstage passes and everything? Like the whole king caboodle, your front row,
for
your
one
backstage
tick. Yeah, one for one 30K.
for one ticket, 2 night event.
I'm going to say 30.
Close. $40,000.
See, that's not what it used to be, right? Like that's unusual, right?
No, it used to be you could get a nosebleed section for $25 and enjoy a good night out and have some fun. Now you're so priced out of the event. Like, I
Yeah.
Jesus, man.
I remember talking to a lady in Williams Lake that it was like the last lady you'd think would be a WWE fan, and she was the most hardcore WWE fan I've maybe, until I hear more of your knowledge, she might still have you on this, man. This lady, she was, probably 60, uh, worked her whole life in Tolko, this and that. And she's like, my dream was to bring my daughter and her boyfriend to WrestleMania such and such with the backstage pass, with the
Right,
VIP
right,
and da da da. And she was single
right.
mom pretty much the whole time. And she's like, I did it twice.
Can't
So
do it anymore.
I can't imagine without selling a house you'd be able to do that anymore. But
But that's how ridiculous. And the NBA is getting just as bad with their new TV deals because now you need NBC, ABC, ESPN, ESPN Plus, and Amazon Prime to watch all your basketball next year.
it's kind of like the Coliseum metaphor again, except we're getting pushed out further and further back in the Coliseum,
Yeah, where's the tiger coming from?
and now you're just
Right?
getting like a report on it, essentially, where we're just getting the TV feed because how are you going to get there? CEBL though,
Now,
folks, that's how you get there.
now I have Amazon Prime, NBC, ESPN, and all the rest of them. Well, not ESPN because we're in Canada, so it's TSN, but same thing
For now,
for now. But I just wanted to point out these sports leagues are no longer for the fans, dude.
only if we let it go that way, because it's
No,
all perspective in the end. So if we think
no.
that, then it's that, but we can also not think that.
Well, I'll rephrase real quick. That's why the majority of the opinions that matter are now coming from YouTube
Shout
because
out Zach Lowe. We're coming for you with that Simpson stuff,
shout out
man.
to that. Yeah, we'll share it and we'll get your handle and we'll tag you in it and we hope you like it and everything. Cause I rest assured that Simpsons NBA crossover is coming.
Oh, it's a banger. Just as a teaser for the folks, that's an all-time banger that we're cooking up on that. I was thinking like that's just a ton of fun. Everybody will know. Anyways, those that know will know. And Zach Lowe seems like a guy that will be all too eager.
There's a couple of bangers in there that you guys are gonna want to. It might be a shorter pod because we're just having fun with it, but it'll be a crossover to remember. Trust me.
And the reasoning behind each of them of these characters that we're sort of lining up with, you know, matching players to Simpsons characters with, the reasoning is the most interesting. Like the sort of back. So that's really, I think, the magic of it is how you came to that decision and why. So I'm looking forward to that
Hmm.
one.
All right. Well, on that happy note, it's 9:45.
Yo,
Um, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. All that good stuff. I know I didn't do that at all, but there's a little ticker that you see there. It says drop a like and subscribe. It runs through the whole podcast.
yeah.
So
What
that's
else you need? Got to get
uh,
off our. Tell them to get off our back. You got the ticker.
you know what you need. You need to hear Mo say, "Until next time, may your ego come from a place that keeps you humble." For my man G, I'm Mo Money. Mamba out.